to your CAD Web Basics 02. For some of you, this is, some of you may have gone past this one already. If you're just checking this video and you've already finished it, hey, good for you, fantastic. For many of you, this is a point where you're going to want to look at this and figure out how to do the next one here. And if that's you, you're in the right place. Let's talk about this. Now our CAD Basics folder here for number 2, and I'm just going to pull up the actual drawing here in AutoCAD Web. Here's an example of a very simple project here, and we're going to go through the skills needed to do this. I'm just quickly going to copy my window over, throw this on my other screen so I can see it, and we're going to recreate this drawing as is. So let's hop our way back. Let's get into our demos folder, and let's make this thing happen. We create a new drawing, CAD _basics _02. And again, I've put these as web versus the desktop version. Some of you may have the desktop version. You can do those as well. They're all very acceptable. Now I'm very simply going to go in here, and once we get started, we're going to create our, not a new layer, not a new layout, we want a new layer. We're going to start with our drawing and dimensioning layer. Now, the skills that you're going to use in this particular drawing that are different than your prior drawings are going to be the copy command and the midpoint command. Now, luckily in AutoCAD Web App, unlike the desktop app, the midpoint is actually already set for you. So I'm going to demo that. We're just going to hop back to our model view for now. Now, the tool that we're going to end up using a lot in this one is actually the midpoint tool. And I'm just going to jump over to my drawing layer, and I'm going to start my drawing. As per usual, I'm going to start at 0, 0, and I'm going to go to 10, tab 7. That should give me a nice, wonderful rectangular frame to start working with. Now the nice thing is on this frame I can demo a lot of what we're doing right off the bat. We can see that when we float over the middle of a line, we actually get this triangle. That means we are dealing with the midpoint of this triangle. We can also see at the end we automatically get our endpoint. If we go down to the bottom right here, you can actually see the O-Snap menu here. And you can see that the object snaps we have built in here is endpoint, midpoint, geometric center is going to be very important for this one. You can add these, you can remove them as they become useful or annoying in some cases. There's a few other ones in here that are actually quite useful that we're not going to use in the context of this course, but you might at some point. Now, looking at this drawing, if I pop it over here, I just want to analyze this and see what we've got to play with right now. So, maybe I should do this in my model view. Let's hop over to the model view. So what I can see in this is I've got a square. Square is set at 1 and 1, I believe. Yes, it is. It is a 3 by 3 square, and it has a circle inscribed around the outside of it, and all the corners match. Now, being a circle, that makes it easy because we can draw the circle at the geometric center of this square. Okay, we can see that we've got a few lines attached to this rectangle over here, and we can see that this rectangle, we've actually defined the bottom corner of it. And then we've got 2 lines drawn at some really weird angles. Those are going to illustrate the ability to use the trim function on these ones. Lastly, we've got some squares in here to represent 90-degree angles. There's 4 of them inside here, and we're going to draw them and use the copy function to make our life really easy on those. So let's begin. I'm going to start with the square on this one, and I'm going to start it as a rectangle. Okay, and I knew that it was 3 by 3, and so we're going to actually create it as a 3 by 3 square. Now here's our first challenge. Our first challenge is to put a circle dead center of this thing. Now there's 2 different ways of doing this. The first is if your center point snaps are on, you can float, or sorry, your geometric center snap is on, you can float over this, and you can actually match to the middle of this and draw your circle. And that's easy. Now sometimes you don't necessarily have that geometric center, and if you don't, I'm going to show you another trick. By floating over the midpoint, notice that I can get this little dashed green line. It's called an orthographic snap, or an orthographic line. Notice that by putting another one of these on the bottom, I can actually put more of these lines onto my drawing. You can see there's a little zoom in here, but there's actually a little green X that gets left on the line there. Okay, and I do that over here again. You can see I can follow this along until I get to this one. I'm just going to demo this without my geometric center on, just to show you how it works. Okay, let's try one more time. We got our line, we go over here, we get our line, we go down over here, and we just follow the line up until the 2 lines meet right there in the center, and then we can draw our circle out. Nice and easy. Now, on this one, the other piece that's very difficult on this one, or it's a challenge I guess, is that you do have to draw this second rectangle. I'm just going to hop back to it and grab its dimensions, It is 1 unit up, 1 unit to the right from the bottom right-hand corner, and it is 5 units tall. That's amazing. Notice that on this part of the drawing, it actually has a height of 2.5 of a 5-unit tall drawing, and that simply means that this is the midpoint. We're going to be able to use that snap pretty easily. And I'm going to drag this back over, and we're going to draw those pieces and actually make this happen. Okay, and I know that I've got one of these that actually starts, I got a rectangle here. I'm going to cheat by putting an actual rectangle here, 1, 1. That should be 1. No, I'm not going to play this game today. All right, it happens sometimes. 1, tab 1. There we go. And then I'm just going to drag my rectangle out from here. I'm going to go 1 unit in that direction, and I'm going to go 5 units up. Nice and easy. Okay, used a bunch of tab there. That was the only hotkey that was used in that whole section. Make this one go away. Now, my lines on this one are really easy because they all snap between endpoints and center points, or sorry, midpoints. Okay, so we got endpoint to midpoint, escape, enter to do the next line. I go up here, click, 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 and this one's nice because it can go back here. Now let's deal with these funny little lines that have these angles on them. Now these are the ones that are right here. Okay, if we zoom in, we can see that we've got a line that is 40 degrees from vertical. We've got a line that is 20 degrees through 25 degrees from vertical. To draw them, we have to do a little bit of math, because when we're measuring things with polar coordinates, we always measure 0 degrees as 3 o'clock on the clock, just a right-hand side angle. And so in this case, this angle between, if I draw it straight across, horizontally across the drawing, this is actually 50 degrees up because it's 90 minus 40 to get 50. Downwards, we do the exact same thing, and we end up getting a 65-degree angle. Let me show you how to put those on. If I take my drawing here, and I take a line, and I go up here, I know that if I go straight up, I can see on my screen that this is 90 degrees. This is vertical. And then I can see that this is 0 degrees, and I want to be 40 degrees away from 90. That means I actually have to draw this next piece at 50 degrees. Okay, now I'm going to do this in a really interesting way. I'm just going to draw this straight out. You could stop it right at the line, but I'm going to show you a trick to kind of make this go a little bit better. Going down, I already talked about this. I was going to do 65. I'm actually going to finish this one. Oh no, I'm going to go straight past as well. Now I've got two lines that they aren't quite where they're supposed to be. I'm going to need to cut something off of these lines. So to cut something off of these lines, I very simply go trim. Okay, this is also under your modify menu. There's a pair of scissors down here in the bottom left. Okay, we go trim, and under trim, I'm able to just click lines and cut them off, and they're actually going to split themselves according to where something has gone through the middle of them. So there's the trim, and that means that I've got those lines ready, easy to modify, easy to address, easy to put an angle on. Last thing. There's 4 squares in here, and I'm going to leave you to dimension this drawing. You've got all the skills to do that. Nothing new there. And click on dimension, and I'm going to actually make these little squares that are in the corner. Now I can't exactly remember how big they are, so we're just going to pick some arbitrary amounts here. I'm going to go 0.5 and 0.5 on this one. I'm going to make a really big square. Yours are probably going to be smaller because the dimensions, are on the actual drawing. What are they actually supposed to be? They're actually supposed to be 0.25, 0.25. So mine are a little big. That's okay. You'll be able to see them in the tutorial. Now, the thing with these is that I've got this one, and I really just want to make it move around. So I'm going to type in copy into my command line, and it's going to ask me something really, really interesting, which is what is the base point? Now, a base point is the point that I'm going to be able to click and grip this object by. So by clicking on that top right corner, it means I can grab it and I can snap it to the top right corner here. Now, I actually have to do this copy command again because in this case, I actually need to grab a different corner of it. I need a new base point. And I'm just going to do that again for each of my objects here to make my life nice and easy. For those of you that have jumped ahead to number 3 already, you may also notice that you can actually accomplish that same thing with a rotate command or a polar array as well if you're really smart about it. Last thing, these squares right now all show up as being over top of this square right here, which in the drawing isn't quite right. We actually want to mess with the order of these. So I'm going to select all 4, and I'm going to type in draw order. Okay, and draw order is going to give me a lot of options at the bottom here. Okay, in this case, I want to actually send them straight to the back. Now what that's going to do is bring this object, the yellow square here, out in front of those squares that should sit behind it. And that gives us those nice 90-degree angle lines that we can work with there. With that being said, usual expectations for this one are that it has the title of the assignment on it, that it has your name on it, that it is exported as a PDF using a layout view. Now, obviously, I wouldn't use something like this because you couldn't see it worth a darn, and that PDF gets uploaded to your ePortfolio. with that being said, good luck with AutoCAD Web Basics number 2. Cheers.